Hello and welcome, fellow bookworms and film fans. Welcome to this week's episode of The Consented Narrative. We're looking at The Dinner Guest by B.P. Walter. Now, basically, this is how the blurb reads, and this is what grabs me. 4 people walked into the dining room that night. One would never leave. Matthew, the perfect husband. Titus, the perfect son. Charlie, the perfect illusion. Rachel, the perfect stranger. Charlie didn't want Rachel at the book club. Matthew wouldn't listen. And that's literally it. That's the blurb. And that had me. That literally, I was going around Waterstones, I think with Beth in New York, and I was like, right, okay, I've got to get this book. I've been looking at it for weeks, have to get it. And I was not disappointed. Because again, the blurb makes it quite clear that someone dies. And for a bit, you're kind of going, who dies? And then when you find out who dies, you think, oh, it's quite, open and shut. But then it's not open and shut. And it's got so many twists and turns. And I started off and as I was getting through the book, I was like, oh, that's how that's related. And then a couple chapters later, I was like, oh, so that's not how that is related. And I love when books do that to me, because it wasn't forced. It wasn't someone going, you're going to believe that X, Y, and Z means this. It was more like, oh, so that's what you thought. Well, actually, this is the truth. And I was like, oh. And it was, right all the way through, certain characters are painted in a certain light. And then by the end of it, you're going, well, that's phenomenal. And you see, the character arcs as well. And you just see some go from being perfect to just being completely the opposite, realizing that they have the power and there's nothing you can do about it. And then others go from being right at the bottom of their lives to something completely different. And obviously you've got Charlie, the perfect illusion, and because let's just say, who out there posts on Instagram kind of the best parts of their lives? Because I do it. I post on Instagram kind of the best days of my life, the days when I go out and do something. I'm not likely to post on Instagram about a day when I've had a really horrible day, or a day where I'm feeling really down in the dumps, or a day where I've finished off a complete pack of Pringles because I've just felt awful and I just needed something. You post about what goes well and what you like, and that's basically what Charlie does. But they paint him out to be like this perfect illusion, and he's not. And it just, as it starts shattering and as the cracks start appearing, it's just absolutely brilliant to just watch how all the characters handle the pressures and how they change and how they grow or don't, as the case may be. And I loved it. It was so well written. The characters were well written, because I do find sometimes when you're writing a murder mystery, you can go a little bit more character. I can't say the word. Basically, you over-exemplify certain parts of their characteristics so that that's all that they become. The guy with the mustache, or the person with the limp, or do you know what I mean? Whereas these were so subtle and be like, yes, he may have this, but he also has this. He tries not to have this, but he's got this. And it was a joy to read, because you could tell that these characters were well-rounded, were well thought of, had backstory, had history that made sense. Because sometimes you're reading something and you're going, well, why have they acted like that? It's completely not how you've painted them. Whereas this, if somebody acts out of turn, you're almost expecting it, because you go, oh, because this is what's happened in the past and this is how it's affecting the future. And I couldn't put it down. And I did enjoy it. And the fact that it's such a simple blurb as well. And I do find that sometimes with blurbs, they give too much information away, or they don't give enough, and you go, yeah, all right. Because the cover itself, I probably wouldn't have picked, but I read the blurb and I was like, I like that. And it's the tagline as well, and you've got to have your hook. And the fact that it's 4 people walked into the dining room, one won't leave. So instantly that of those 4 people, one of them's dead and one of them's a killer. So that leaves 2 innocent people. Or is just one of them a killer? Or is it more than one person? Have you got 2 innocent people, 1 innocent person? How many killers have you got? And it's just, it had me gripped. It really did. And it is one that I couldn't put down. So I would definitely recommend it. It gets a 4 out of 5 from me. If you can, Kindle, paperback, however you like to read, library, definitely give this one a go. If there's any books, film adaptations you'd like me to do, please leave it below in the comments. If there's any, you know, book reviews you'd like me to do, leave them below in the comments. As I've said before, I do have a lot of reading to do, so I do try and get through it as quickly as I can. So if you do ask me to put a book and review it, it will come, I promise. But it might take a couple of months to appear there. But thank you so much, guys, for your continued support. Thank you so much for constantly watching and putting up with me. So remember to always keep it contento.